Welcome back. North American College Championship round number 12. Evans Clinchy live from Seattle, Washington, joined by Mike France. Mike, it's been quite a morning. We've seen three pretty entertaining games featuring a lot of Dave Wiegand and Colton Kaler so far.
Yeah, three entertaining games, and some brilliancies, some moments that I think the players wish they could have back. But that's
Yeah,
true of
yeah,
pretty much every Scrabble tournament, and
it's true.
every game you play. I can count on one hand the number of times I've played a Quackle approved perfect game, and I've lost those games.
Yeah, it happens to all of us for sure. Maybe not the perfection part, but the mistakes part. Anyway, we got an entirely new matchup here for round number 12 as Austin Shin and John O'Loughlin are welcomed to table one for the first time in a while. I think both these guys played once on the stream yesterday, but not yet this morning. So
Well, we had
looking forward to
Austin
this
game one
matchup.
today.
Oh my God, you're right. I forget so fast. We've had Austin twice. Okay.
Yeah,
But welcome to John, who I think was last on stream in round one,
yeah, yeah.
back here for round 12.
Yes, yeah. John and I have played a fair bit here in the Bay Area, and he doesn't play as much tournament wise as he used to, but he still knows his worth and still knows the game, as you would
Absolutely.
expect from the man who half invented Quackle.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of trolling in the chat. Can we ban this DACBB guy? He's really annoying me. I'm half joking. Anyway, John O'Loughlin, us and Shin, looking forward to this.
And both these players kind of in the middle of the standings at this point.
Yeah, the players were doing better when we picked them to be on the stream, and I think they've since. I think Austin has had a rough morning. He's down to 6-5 after starting 6-2, and John is at 6-5 as well. If you're just joining us, it's a close race at the top of the standings here at the NAC. It is Dave Wiegand, Colton Kaler, and Quinn James all tied at 8-3. Remember, there are 4 playoff spots on the line in these 24 games, and there's currently 3 players tied for first, and then kind of a big chunk of 7-4 is led by Rob Rabinski, who's in 4th place. All right, getting started here as Austin almost drew pierogi. I didn't see the last letter at first. He drew pierogi C, which is not as good as pierogi and not as tasty. There's a nice pierogi shop on Pike Place Market right down the street from here.
Thinking ahead to lunch already?
Absolutely. I get hungry because I woke up at like 6:30 and had breakfast at home and then commuted here. And like it's a long break between 6:30 breakfast and like 1:30 lunch. So I get pretty hangry the last round of the morning. All right, so it looks like pierogi is being lined up on the. Wait a minute, that's not a word spelled quite that way. I don't think Piroge. No, that's the one way you can't spell pierogi. There's like 17 ways that you can spell it.
Pirog, corgi might be a possibility.
Oh, maybe he could be just playing pierogi as a 5, Pirog, keeping my initials as his leave. We saw Pete keep his own initials and draw bingo, but I think keeping my initials will probably lead to playing a phony 2. Co-gripe to complain with your opponent. I bet Dave and Colton are co-griping about how their endgame went. So John has drawn a fun rack. You can play long into the G, but that's not a word.
And I was going to say, instead of the long goodbye, you have the long now.
There you go. See, I'm not the only person to find long. Okay, it's being pointed out quite a bit in chat. All right, of actual valid words, you can play something like won or woon, W-O-N or W-O-O-N, for 23 or 24 points. Those seem pretty reasonable. And it looks like Dave is just going to play, or why did I say Dave? John is going to play won, W-O-N. You can tell I'm hungry because I'm messing up basic words and names of people. All right, let's see what Austin is drawn here. Interesting rack, some high-scoring consonants.
Something like web above the OW, Geo complex, web or way or something along those lines.
Yeah, Webb looks very strong. Maximum score of 32.
And ACEI needs some consonants to bail it out, and you're blocking the R that might potentially do that, but probably too many points to give up.
Yeah, I would say probably so. Definitely think Webb is the best play here, and it looks like Austin does too as he's reaching for it, and yeah, it's coming down. And John has drawn kind of a middling rack. No bingo, no massively high scoring play, but he's got some stuff. Fun Collins word. Wow takes an F for Wowf. So we could play something forming Wowf, like perhaps golf is an example. I believe Wowf is adjective meaning crazy. So it does not take an S. Kind of an interesting, somewhat defensive board shaping up if you can play something like golf and Wowf. It does look like John has the letters in golf lined up on his rack.
Yeah, don't see any reason not to do that.
Also, a word is Doff, D-O-F, if you think that Lang is a better lead than Dan. Pretty close between those two, I guess. John is pausing before playing golf, so he's clearly thinking about alternatives a little bit anyway.
If you feel lucky, there's stuff like play Fond down from the P, but
yeah.
He goes with golf.
Oh, thank you, Nitz, for checking the equity in the chat there. Looks like Lang is a slightly better equity leave than Dan, at least in terms of just the static value of it, about 5.2 versus 4. But yeah, John's going to go with golf. Scores him an extra point. And maybe blocks up the board just like a tiny smidge better, I guess. So your score is going to be 54-46. Very close game early with neither player breaking things up. And I feel like we've seen a lot of games this tournament where one player or the other has a big bingo in the first couple of moves and just blows it wide open right away. But not the case so far in this one. Both players starting pretty quiet.
Austin with the dreaded triple A rack.
Yeah.
I mean, there's places to play, ACAI for not many points, but probably the best weave you're going to get.
Yep.
That's precisely what he does.
Looks good.
And that's going to give John the fun option of bandana double.
Ooh,
not a
very
bingo,
nice.
but
very, very nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's the best play by far. 40 points, and your alternatives are more like 24 or 26-ish. Yeah, I see Nitz points out in the chat that, wait, there's no agapic. That's apagic. Those letters are in the wrong order for that. Nice try.
yeah, agapeic, but apogic.
And that's what Nitz just pointed out in the chat too. Yeah. Okay. So no plays like that, but bandana would be a very nice find here if John were to come up with it. And he's putting down the B. Oh no, he didn't see a bandana, I guess. Ban. And that's going to be 20 points. Good leave though. ADEN. And a close game here now at 70-66.
Austin with one of those racks that almost bingos but doesn't quite, and always leaves you.
Oh, there is another very nice non-bingo double-double, and it looks like Austin might see it. He's got the letters arranged in almost the right order. There is a 36 pointer through that I and the O. Waiting for somebody in the chat to yell it out. I bet somebody can find it.
I thought you were waiting for me to yell it out, which I,
Anybody can speak. Yeah, the
Okay.
answer is telepod.
Yeah.
A very tall southern Indian fan palm with enormous leaves, which are used as sunshades, etc. That is the definition of telepod.
and
Meanwhile, John is drawn maybe a little bit too many vowels for his liking. He would like to have that C in open space to play cuneated, but he can't quite get that. Would need a D for denudate. So yeah, there's some stuff that he doesn't quite have on this board.
yeah, if Austin doesn't see telepod, I'm not sure what the next best play would even be.
Yeah, there's nothing super great otherwise. You can play pleat up top, making ABBA and tie not super exciting. Just tip at the bottom. It's pretty sad, just 21 points. He does have, actually, he has both tip and pleat arranged on his rack. He has tipleat. I found that Austin's one of those players you can't guess what he's going to do based on the way he arranges his tiles on his rack. Like some players make it more obvious for us than others. Oh, Jalopik, good call in the chat that if he does find Talipod, he's going to get hit with tautened by John.
Mm.
So it's almost better for Austin if he misses it. Austin taking his time here. Only played a couple of moves and he's already used about 7 minutes off his clock. But I mean, these are difficult positions. I'm kind of again going to subscribe to that Will Anderson rule of if he's taking a long time, he might not see the best play, which is forgivable. Telepod is not an easy thing to spot here.
You know, there are times where you have multiple tiles in one of these double lanes, but they're arranged in a way that makes it obvious to look for plays there. I space O isn't necessarily one of those configurations.
Yeah.
So
Austin does play the second best play of pleat.
Which isn't that far behind. I mean, EI as a leave might not be the 31
actually,
keeping.
It's actually not. It's not impossible that Austin saw telepod and passed it up on purpose. It's not like a terrible play by any means to play pleat.
John's going to quickly play taupe.
Seems good. He had his rack arranged as attenuated, so I was hoping that Austin would play ATT and John could play attenuated, but that was a pipe dream. All right, taupe is the best play according to Quackle. 21 points, decent leave. Why not? It's a pretty close game here at 101 to 87, and kind of a funky draw for Austin.
3 eyes. There are ways to get rid of multiples of them. Something like Mirai below golf.
Oh, he's got Mihi. He's got that lined up. Okay. Oh yeah, he's going to play that pretty quickly. Okay. And yeah, Mihi for 33 looks quite nice.
John has drawn Unjaded, which will, I presume, go down very swiftly.
Oh yeah, making band. That's a very high scoring one. Unjaded, not the easiest word in the world to be sure of. I wasn't sure of it either, but Mike, you think it's a word, and the computer also thinks it's a word, so it's probably a word. All right, John does know it. Nice job. That's impressive actually. So Unjaded will be 93, and the league. John goes up 180 to 134. Austin on turn with another red. It's a little bit iffy here.
The FV combination is never the most fun to deal with.
No. Other 5 letters look great, just not those two. But Unjaded does give a nice lane to play those F and the V. He's got 5 and fiver. Either one would be very nice here. The chat is getting very inappropriate. Can we just ban everybody, please? Thanks. Yeah, Austin's got fiver lined up. Looks very strong. And John, speaking of very strong, is drawn very, very well after his bingo. Tirade plus blank is going to bingo in many, many places. You know, we were talking earlier about players like Dave and Austin who know all sorts of crazy long words like nines and whatnot. John is absolutely also in that class. There's probably some fun stuff here. Although, the best plays are boring stuff. You can just play like Tardiest for the most points.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with something like through the ABA or something like that. But,
yeah.
Sometimes it turns out you don't need all the fancy words. You just need the ones that score.
Yeah. I wish style points were actual points. It would make Scrabble more fun. But they are not. Does Tragedian, does that fit? G-E-G-I. I think Tragedian fits through the A and the N. But it's not the best play by a long shot. Austin is also drawn very well, so I think we're going to see a bingo and a bingo right back. Austin is lined up Contrist into the T, but he's going to be very sad when John almost certainly plays into the T first and blocks it. Tardiest is the best play here for John. Yeah, it's always so sad when you have the cool guy, but the high probability easy 8 is by far the better play. Yeah, John does indeed play Tardiest, it looks like.
Will restore his 80 or so point lead for the moment.
For the moment. All right, let me get that scoreboard updated. It's currently John 260 and Austin 175. So a 95 or 85, point lead for John that will immediately vanish when Austin plays probably citrons and fibers, I think. Citrons and cortins are both words, yeah. Either one of them would be 80 and pretty close to a tie game.
Mm-hmm.
So we got ourselves a good one here. Both players with a nice flow here. Just we had some kind of sludgy play in the beginning with kind of both players playing these low scoring words, but now it's kind of starting to open up a little bit. And just as I say that, John draws YRRQ. I jinxed it. Sorry, John.
I'm sure he'll be fine with it.
He'll figure something out. He does have SUQ through the U in the corner where he played Unjaded. Very courteous of John to arrange his tiles like actually right side up and in order. Sometimes he's very very sloppy with all the like upside down, sideways nonsense. But when he's on stream, he lets us like actually read his letters, which is very courteous. Austin taking his time on Cortins. There's not a ton to think about other than like which one, Cortins or Citrons.
Maybe trying to find something that underlaps Mihai or something like that. It's not there though.
It's not there though, yeah. Actually, yeah, this has a lot of anagrams, and so it's hard to like you got to check them all and like make sure they all don't play. So Citrons, Cortins, Cornist, and Sistron. And so you got to go through all 4 of those words and check for like all of them whether they overlap stuff in other parts of the board. But Austin correctly realizes they do not and makes the best play of Cortins, or I guess the co-best play, Cortins or Citrons. Take your pick.
Yeah. And he may also.
All right, so
back
to a 5-point game. John 260, Austin 255.
And fortunate for Austin that he did choose that one, because Citrons would have given John an easy 64-point Q play.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I take back my just take your pick. It's actually clear which one's better, huh? Although there's a Z unseen, so he could have been hit with either one, the Z bomb or the Q bomb. Seeing in the chat some suggestions of very, very bad spellings of squirrely. That's not how anything works, guys. Let's see here. Oh, Austin's showing the second blank, and he's got out love. I don't think he's got a spot to play that, but he does have that word. Oh, he's showing that he's got over foul, which he does. Wait, over foul? Is that a word?
Over soul as well.
Yeah. Both are good. Over foul, over soul, over loud. All 3 are valid, and they do fit through that R in Cortins for a complete airball, like 58-point bingo or whatever. Not 58. 60? I can't do numbers. 60, yeah.
John's going to play Souk for 36.
Looks right to me. Not much else you can do with that Q. You have QIS in the bottom left, but it burns your only vowel, so no thank you. So Austin, with a puzzled look on his face as he looks at the board, but he should be smiling. He's got a bingo. Not sure what he's so puzzled. I guess he's pondering, like, do I really have nothing better than scoring this small an amount with my bingo? But Austin, you don't. 3 bingos. It's the 3 we just mentioned: over soul, over foul, over loud. 60 points each.
Of the 3, not that it makes sense, but you want to put the blank in the triple line if you can help it.
The great irony of this is that all 3 of Austin's bingos put the U right in front of the triple letter score, and John just played off the Q that would be a killer letter in that position. Like, obviously, John can't know that. It's not his fault or anything, but it's just funny how it worked that way. So Austin pondering this one, but
he might be looking for something that scores enough and keeps a reasonable enough lead that it might be worth passing up the bingo. I don't think there's anything in that realm, but if there was something that could burn the V for mid-30s, it might be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Unfortunately, there is not a play like that. You can play Vo for 24 in the bottom left, but I don't think 24 is enough.
Yeah, it appears he's going to agree.
And it'd be great if we could get from our stream team a confirmation of. We can see the blank on our screen. It's an S because you can see where he's circling on the slip. Okay, it's an S over soul.
So 60 points will put Austin back in the lead, 315 to 296. John has drawn another I to go with his duplicate R's. Yeah, something like airily from the A of Tardius for 34.
Yeah. I think probably his two best options are that and then also royally, Roily, in the bottom right through that R or through the O in Cortons.
Hmm.
So a couple of nice scoring options here for John. And I think what we're headed for is a pretty tight end game with, both players scoring well and kind of the lead going back and forth. It might come down to which player can get it one more bingo down, but not necessarily. It's not the most friendly board in the world for one more bingo. I guess it's an okay board for bingoing. There's some space on the top left, and we'll see what happens if he plays royally, and he does. Yeah, nice play by John.
Taking me.
That's going to shut some things down, but not all things. Seeing a comment in chat that whoever gets the Z is going to win. Scrabble is broken. Interesting point. Is the Z like super amazing in this position? I'm not really sure.
It was a lot better before royally.
Good point. So Austin with tangy NS. All right. You can play angsty from the A up top in Tardiest.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. There's two more S's to draw, so you're not super worried about burning the S. And this isn't a great board for S hooks anyway. So yeah, I'm liking angsty unless there's something better I'm not seeing.
I'm wondering how often you get burned by opening up that triple on the left side of the board. I mean, there's a K for KY and an M for MY.
So both of which John has.
Oh, wow. You're right. Look at that.
But even so, that's going to be something like Moke for 35, which isn't the end of the world.
True. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a close game after that line, if that's what happens. John also has Moniker in the bottom right through that N in Cortons as a similar scoring option, 38 for that. So interesting game. Both players have some decent scoring options, and it's going to be pretty back and forth down to the end, it looks like. Seeing questions in the chat of what's the real score. This is the real score. 334, 315 is correct. And looks like Guyane is the play from Austin. 32 points, keeping a pretty solid lead of NST. Decently balanced bag. It looks like maybe there's a hold as Austin isn't drawing any tiles and John is deep in thought. And he's going to check on Guyane, but it is a valid word, so +5 for Austin.
And then a game this close, those 5 points could matter.
Interesting. Seeing in the chat, define Guyane. It means knowledge. And Muffin with Tentacle says, Austin has good word Guyane. Both players have very good word Guyane, but I guess John wasn't sure of the word Guyane. All right, so with the +5, you do have on your screen the correct score. It is Austin 352, John 334. Now down by 18. And you can score more than that this turn, so the lead's going to go back. Just teetering and tottering back and forth from Austin to John again. It's going to be John on top after his next play. Okay, so Gyan and Jnana are pronounced the same, says Nitz. If you could tell me what that pronunciation is, because I can't pronounce either one of them, that would be great. I apologize to everybody I have offended this weekend with my mispronunciation of the words from their cultures, because I can't say any words. She can't type. So.
Are we still liking Moniker?
Yeah, that's a solid
You,
option. You can also just play something underneath Guyan or Gian or however you say it. You can play something like OK or EEK or EKE. A lot of plays that make either Mac or Gink with the K that score pretty well. Yeah, so I mean, Moniker's 38. These other plays with the K underneath Gian are in the mid 30s as well. A lot of pretty comparable options.
and he's going to go with okay, and this is not going to work out for him.
Ooh. Yeah, so Austin can play something like Nexus or on Sex. He's going to get a pretty heavy score here. So the score on your screen should refresh in just a moment. It's going to be, there it is, 369 to 352. Only a 17-point lead for John, and Austin is going to score quite a bit more than that. John has drawn the Z and the H, though, and the M. He's got some good scoring stuff on his rack. I think this game is still close.
And Nexus would be 50.
But it would open up the bottom triple for John to score quite a bit, I bet you. Yeah, I think this is a very close game. For example, if we saw Nexus followed by Rhyme, RHIME, the score would be 406, 402. John up by 4. Like, this is really tight.
We're down to, looks like 6 in the bag. So Austin's probably going to want to play 5 tiles off and make this a 1 in the bag end game.
Mm-hmm. If Austin chooses on Sex, then John has High Re for 54. And that would actually put John up by more. He'd be up by 25 after that line. So this is really dicey for Austin.
Nexus does come down. And it's going to come down to what he draws from. Looks like ADEEOT is the bag before Austin draws.
Mm-hmm. And his rack is toasted, which means he left the other E in the bag. Yeah, so the 5-letter words Rhyme and Hreem, RHIME, RHEME, are not the easiest 5s in the world to know and to see. I could easily miss them myself. I know that. But if John does find one of them, this is going to be a really, really tight end game.
Yeah. I don't see from John's perspective how Austin can bingo.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's pretty tough.
So he's definitely going to get another play with the Z.
Yeah, there are no bingos with any of the racks that Austin could have. Besides Rhyme and Ream, another option that John has is Menhir, Menhir in the bottom right. This is going to be, I would imagine, a very difficult endgame for both players. There's a lot of candidate moves that are close. There's no obvious best play for either one of them. And this could come down to just a couple of points. It could be very close.
And John's going to take his time. And one thing, I don't think Austin could have done anything different to this, but 1 in the bag end games, if you give someone like John 10 to 12 minutes, he might well sit there and work out all 8 end games and work out what the best play is in each of them.
Absolutely. It does look like John's got his clipboard and he's writing a lot. So you could be right that he's doing exactly that. The problem is it's really hard to find the best play with any of Austin's possible racks. Like there's no straightforward, like, oh, if he has this, it's clearly this. Like each end game is really hard to figure out. I mean, like I was just looking at, like, for example, after Rhyme, like what Austin's best play is, and the answer is he's got like 7 candidate moves that all score about 30, and they all look pretty similar. Like, how are you supposed to find which one's best? And that's just for one iteration of the 8 possible racks. So this is really tough. This is not 8 possible racks; it's 6 because there's 2 duplicated tiles. But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being corrected on that by like 3 people in chat right away. Smart Alex. All right, so John is down to how much time? About 8 minutes. Okay. I've said it a few times on stream this weekend that these are the hardest positions in Scrabble. These like really close pre-end games with a tile or 2 in the bag. These are when you spend your time. Yeah, the last tile in the bag is the final E, which is not the most exciting tile. Both these guys know that this game's going to come down to who can find the heavier scoring plays at the end, which is why John still has a shot despite being down by 33, is he's got really nice point-scoring tiles. The Z is actually not that awesome, though. Like, look at this board. Like, where is the Z going? There aren't any great answers.
Yeah, there's 32 up on column J. There's no way to get the Z involved on row 15, which is what you really need to get the lead into the end game, or at least a significant enough lead that Austin has to work through more possibilities.
Yeah, seeing the question in chat, does Austin have a bingo? Yeah, he's got toasted, but it's not going to play on this board. I think it's entirely impossible that either player bingos from here. It's going to be a very close, who can score more in the end game kind of game. Yeah, no spot for anything like toasted. Yeah, somebody pointed out that ostiated doesn't quite work. There's no way to fit that without going off the board. John's going to go with Heezy. 36 keeping MR. I didn't think of that as an option. He's going to draw the E. EMR is pretty nice. Can he go out and win? I think he might have a shot.
And that's,
I think Austin has enough.
Yeah, I was going to say that the key thing that John was trying to do in that situation is to maximize his chances of an out in 2, only giving Austin 1 more play to score points.
Yeah. I don't think John's rack of EMR is going to score really well in 2 different spots. It scores well above Heezy, but Austin can just block that spot above Heezy. Although these are hard 5s. Like, who knows words like stade, S-T-A-D-E? If you know and find the word stayed, then you win, because you block Rem, and then John can only score 12 with his EMR. Let's see. There's other words. Tsade, T-S-A-D-E.
Looks like he's lined up Dado going underneath Heezy.
Oh, that would work too. Okay,
which has to be enough.
That does get back Rem and Ham underneath, but that's only 22, and Austin would still win. Oh, wow. It looks like Dado wins by 5, and John challenged a 5-point challenge. Yikes. You were saying, Mike, that those 5 points might matter.
Mhm. Is that the best we see?
No, but it's the best Austin sees, as far as I can tell. um, the best play is Stade or Sade, Tsade or Stade above Heasy, because those don't give back as many points to John.
Ah,
So it looks like Austin is in good shape to hang on and win a close one, but it's going to be a little bit of a nail biter here at the end. 405, 402, John up by 3, and Austin looks to be able to score just enough to pull this one out. Austin, though, being very methodical to make sure he's got this right. He does not want to mess up what should be a win if he plays it correctly. Both players using their time very well to think these moves through. John down to about 6 minutes, Austin down to about 5.
I'd be curious to see what a sim says about Heasy.
Yeah, I'll definitely
It
look at that
wasn't on
later.
either of our radars.
Maybe it should have been. That might have been our mistake. Yeah, I don't know. You could spend hours analyzing this position, and we don't have hours because I'm hungry. But yeah, definitely a lot to go through in this pre-end game, because there were a lot of really interesting candidate moves for John and a lot of different end game permutations for Austin after each one. There's literally hundreds of lines you could analyze, starting from Heasy or one of the alternatives to Heasy. Austin is now arranging Seta. That's not a word. I hope he doesn't play that. Really just any reasonable, valid play that blocks Rem should be enough. So just play something you're sure of. Yeah, Austin's going back to Datto, which would be just fine. Someone in the chat saying that Heasy just loses every time. That might be correct. I don't think I've found a scenario yet where Heasy leads to a win, but I don't know if the other plays do either. It might just be that Austin is just slightly ahead no matter what John does, and that endgame is just losing for him. So Austin has gone back to arranging Datto on his rack, which would be winning. He really just needs to not phony here.
Mm-hmm.
Under 3 minutes now. He definitely looks like he's got some doubts. You see him kind of biting his lip and thinking really hard. But if you just trust your instincts here and play Datto, you should be fine. Checking out other results here from round number 12. Looks like we're still waiting on both Colton and Dave to play their games. So not a lot of results from the top. Oh, Quinn James did win her game, so that's going to mean that Quinn is 9-3, the first confirmed 9-game winner so far, but Dave and Colton each with a chance to win their 9th. Dave currently playing they're playing each other. Dave and Colton are playing each other. Okay. I believe that is the first repeat of the tournament, is Dave versus Colton around 11. Anyway, Austin, thinking about Datto here. It would be winning if he just trusted his instincts and played it. Minute and a half to go. And he's reaching for it. He's reaching. There we go. Datto comes down. And that should do it. Hits the clock. Yep. And let's get the actual score on the scoreboard. It's 436 to 405. And that means that John's going to score just not quite enough.
So just taking a quick look at my sim here. One idea that it came up with for John that it says has a really good chance is playing just HE under the AR of Tardiest, threatening the Z of Res.
Ooh.
That would leave a 7-on-6 end game, and Austin could block, but then John would be able to possibly score enough elsewhere with the Z to pull it out.
Wow. Interesting stuff. Wow. Ooh. We've had some pretty nail-biting end games on stream this morning. It's been quite a morning. And, some better play than others, you might say. Austin has done well to pull this one out. It's been a pretty difficult game for both players, back and forth, and Austin's going to come out just on top in the end, it would appear. Oh, it looks like John is going to challenge Dada, which makes sense if it's the only way to win.
Right. And this will mean he loses by 10 instead of 5.
Yeah. Looked like he was very thoroughly going through the game and making sure that there were no scoring errors, making sure that he didn't have anything better than Rem. He was just like double and triple checking that challenging this is the only way to win. And it comes back good. Austin gets +5, and John plays Rem to go out. So what you see on your screen is the correct final score. It is Austin Shin 441 and John O'Loughlin 431. That was quite a game. Quite a game.
For the most part, two good players playing well, and comes down to who has the exact right tiles at the exact right time, and the margins at this level are very, very thin.
Very true. Yeah, so impressive work by Austin. He had a rough morning losing his first 3, but he comes back and gets the win here in round number 12. Austin improves to 7-5, and John falls to 6-6. Looks like taking a quick look at the top tables, and we are still waiting on some results from some other players. But in any event, we will have an update for you on the standings and all that stuff after lunch. I think we're going to call it good on this morning stream. Mike, thanks so much for joining. This was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed these 4 games this morning.
Glad to be here. Glad to see
absolutely.
some high-level play, and and hopefully not make too many jokes at too many other people's expense.
Nah, just a couple here and there is fine, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have you back tomorrow, I believe, for the very end of the first 24 rounds of the tournament. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's going to be a fun down the stretch session for you with rounds 21 through 24 as we decide who makes it to the Final Four playoff on Monday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We will see you then, Mike, and everybody else out there in Twitch land. We're going to take a quick break not a quick break for lunch, about an hour and a half for lunch. And we'll be back at 2:30 p.m. local time here in Seattle with a new slate of commentators for the afternoon games. So I'm Evan Sklenchy. That's Mike Frentz. We're going to sign off, and we will see y'all later on this weekend. Take it easy.